So the Athletic is reporting then this morning, that's Tuesday morning when we're recording this, that Real Madrid, Chelsea and Manchester City are leading this race. Will that come as a surprise, Simon, to Chelsea, who may have thought they already had this deal done?
Oh, I don't think it would come as a surprise to them in the sense that they know that Gvardiol is highly coveted by biggest clubs in Europe. I think it would come perhaps as a surprise to Chelsea fans thinking, well, why are they still in for this guy? In that centre-back is hardly a position they're struggling for. In fact, they're struggling to fit the ones they've got already in the side. But
do they see him as a centre forward, Simon?
Yeah, why not?
big man up front. There we are.
Roll the dice.
It worked for Chris. Oh no, it didn't actually. Chelsea. Anyhow,
yes.
Continue.
Yes. So suddenly, I'm thinking, yeah, perhaps Mark's on something. Hey, Wesley Fofana scored the centre backs from set pieces, doing quite well this season. But no, Chelsea's interest may come as a surprise that they're still sort of thinking about him because they've got so many players back there, but they're going to think about selling players this summer, and you cannot ignore a player of this quality, a guy that they came very close to signing last summer. They put it on hold, looked at it again in January. Perhaps they're sort of feeling some sense of regret that they didn't get the deal done last summer before the World Cup, where, of course, Gvardiol absolutely shone. But yeah, I'll still nothing will surprise me anymore with these new owners, because one thing, you can label many things at them, but a lack of ambition and a lack of intent in the transfer market is not one of them.
Just before we bring Pol in and talk about other clubs as well, but one of the reasons that this was assumed to have been not far off a done deal is because one of Chelsea's many recruitment experts, you can give them whichever job title you want, has Red Bull links. Yes, this is the sort of background in play.
Yeah, Christopher Vivell, of course, is now part of the Chelsea's new management structure, and of course, it's not just about Vivell. Actually, that the two clubs have done a number of deals together. Of course, they've already got a deal lined up for Christopher Nkunku, that will be completed this summer. But of course, Timo Werner has gone back and forth over the last couple of years. So there's a strong bond between the two clubs. But as was shown last summer, that doesn't necessarily mean that a transfer is straightforward. Chelsea went back to RB Leipzig on 3 occasions and got a bit frustrated that the goalposts kept moving in terms of what they were asking for. But like I said, perhaps they're regretting that they didn't actually just go ahead and get the deal done, because he's worth more than perhaps RB Leipzig were asking for at the time.
So we've established with Simon that Chelsea have 27 centre-halves already, so why would they need another one? Manchester City have 4, Pol, if we look at this from a City perspective. But there are certainly thoughts and rumours that maybe 1 or 2 of them may move on. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, they have 5 actually with Akanji.
Yes,
yeah, which is like a massive number. Now Nathan Ake can be deemed as a left back for someone because he's operating more as a fullback rather than a centre back. But yeah, I think that it's something that it's not just rumors. It's like inside City as well. They know that there are some of those centre backs that are linked to a move, and they probably would like a move. And City have had this approach of like, right, if you don't want to stay here, feel free to go, but you have to bring us an offer. And I think that Josko Gvardiol, it's like the backup plan, not the option B, but the option just to fulfill the gap that any potential departure is going to leave. Now that you mentioned that about the 5 centre backs, I can remember now last summer, and now that we have Simon here as well, when Nathan Ake was linked to a move to Chelsea, which was like big moment in the transfer market. It all looked like Nathan Ake was going to leave to Chelsea. The name that City had at the top of their list and Chicky Begiristain was really obsessed with was Josko Gvardiol. So the love from Man City to Josko Gvardiol is not something new. It's something that's been coming for the last, I think I've heard that name at City for the last 2 years and a half, something like that. So I would expect City to keep an eye on on him. But as you were saying, I think it's like a must just to have some player leave, basically, because you cannot have 28 centre backs in your squad. Even more if like they are like a standard centre back, just as Josko Gvardiol and the other ones that City have.
But to tie this in with Spain, is the main rumor, or with Spanish clubs, is the main rumor that Aymeric Laporte might want to move to Spain?
I think that the main rumor is that Aymeric Laporte would appeal a move out. Right. Because he has been a name that has been linked with that situation for the last 2 seasons, I've said. So it wouldn't come as a surprise. The thing is, Laporte has contract until 2025, if I'm not wrong. So he cannot leave for free. He has to bring an offer to the table. City has to assess it, and City has to let him go, and he has to find like a project that he appeals to go, right? That he is appealed. So that's not going to be like an easy jigsaw, but I think it's in a scenario where all the parts could see things moving too. So yeah, as I was saying, when it happens, I think that City is a club that wants to have like their homework done before it happens. So that will be the case, I think.
So the fee will be really interesting here, Simon. If you go back to last summer, Chelsea thought they'd get him for around what, £60 million, €70 million, something like that.
Yeah, well, there were 3 offers, or certainly 3 sort of prices that were discussed, only for Chelsea to pull out. But the question is, of course, there's this release clause that kicks in 2024, as Ralph explains, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Erling Haaland situation, where Chelsea made a play for Haaland a year before his sort of release clause kicked in the sort of thinking, well, it's now or never. And that's why I sort of think there's still a possibility that Chelsea go back in for him. Because the thing you have to remember, Mark, is that Thiago Silva signed a 1-year extension, but he is human. Well, I think he is. And age surely has to be a factor at some point, and he will need replacing long term. Then, of course, there's the big temptation for the owners to raise money by selling academy players. So because it would count as pure profit. So that brings in the likes of Trevor Chalobah, even though he signed a long-term deal recently. Then, of course, there's Levi Colwill, who I know they rate very highly, placed in the same position as Gvardiol. And there is an intention to give him a new deal. But you can imagine if a big offer comes in for him, that maybe they'll consider it. And of course,
well, he must be wondering why he would stay. Surely, I mean, with virtually every other centre half in Europe arriving at the club, I mean, look, he's a great player, and I'm sure he backs his own ability. But
yes,
it doesn't feel like a ringing endorsement in him from the club at the moment, does it?
Well, I think the signing of Benoit Badiashile certainly sent a strong message, because he's a player that's only just a year or 2 older than Colwill and plays in the same position, and he's actually got off to a very good start to his Chelsea career. One of the few new signings that's been made in the last 2 windows that has just walked in and looked at home straight away. So that is going to send a bit of a message to Colwill, but at the same time, you know, he has sort of grown up as a Chelsea player, and it is quite a call to leave that club. I think he backs himself to make an impact. He needs to sort out, you know, he needs to play a bit more consistently for Brighton. Of course, injury hasn't helped him recently, but you can see why Chelsea might still consider Gvardiol, even though it looks on paper like they've got loads of centre-backs to choose from already. There is going to be a big clear-out this summer. There needs to be anyway. There's a senior squad of over 30 players. which has been a challenge for one of the many challenges Graham Potter's faced this season. But yes, they will be selling players. Now, of course, the problem is if clubs know you're going to sell, it doesn't give you the strongest bargaining position. But this is where the sort of academy players, certainly from what I'm hearing, there's a genuine fear that within the club that some of these English guys are going to be the ones that make way, because they've still got many years left on their contract and they count as pure profit, and they will raise quite a lot of money. But you're also looking at players like Christian Pulisic, Hakim Ziyech, etc., that could be on their way.
There will also be people listening, Paul, who will go, well, given the state of City and the various challenges and allegations that have been brought against them, how are they going to operate in a summer transfer market?
Yeah, basically, I guess that until charges are not converted like in a final sentence, they are going to keep going, basically. And sources at the club, they keep, I don't know if optimistic is the word, but they are confident in how they have operated in the past. So they believe that they will be able just to keep going in the same way. So basically, I guess that Gvardiol is going to fit on that plans in the same regard that he could have done like in the previous summers, of course.
And when we look at that fee then, and does that mean, do you think, Paul, that he can only go to if he moves, he can only go to a Premier League club, that he will be out of the reach of both Barcelona and Real Madrid?
Well, Barcelona, I don't think that they can even buy like a lot of people, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I think that Real Madrid's policy, I mean, for what we are hearing, for what they are saying from the club, it's not a battle that they want to be in for. I don't see them paying like a huge money fee for a centre back. They are kind of not blaming, but yeah, pointing all the time to like these English clubs that play like in a different league, in a different competition in terms of like financial terms, that they don't want to be dragged into this. They've said that all along with Jude Bellingham, and I don't see anything different with Josko Gvardiol. I think it's going to be the same story. It doesn't mean that Real Madrid doesn't keep an eye on him, because I think that from the club, they are going to make the right movement just to speak to certain people, just to know what's the temperature on the player's camp, if he would ever consider like a Real Madrid move. Because when you get that, I think that it's easier to make things happen when you get like the straight desire from the player. But yeah, just for what we've heard all along, like from all sides, I think that the Premier League is the most likely destination, basically. I think that Josko Gvardiol at some point is going to end up playing here because it's what he wants, for what we've heard and what we've read from quote from him. So I think that's going to happen, yeah.